Last speaker, Mayor Tory.
Madam Speaker, thank you, and may I just join everybody else in saying thank you to the staff, and that's the staff across the board, TTC, our planning staff, led by Ms. Keesmaat, our city staff, led by Mr. Wallace and Mr. Livy, and everybody else that's been involved. I'd like to just start off by rejecting, and I don't want to use that word, by suggesting that in my mind, in any event, that this is not about two of the things that have been talked about during the course of what I think has been a generally very respectful debate. First of all, I don't think this is all about the Walkman example that Councillor Carroll gave. In my mind, this is not at all about me supporting the express subway to Scarborough and the overall transit plan for Scarborough because everybody else has one. It's about the fact that the development of that area, and I'll come back to this in my conclusion, the development of that area of town in terms in particular of investment and jobs is going to require, as we've heard from our chief planner, a high-speed transit connection as part of an overall network, including Smart Track, including the LRT, and including the relief line ultimately, because that's going to help get people back and forth as well. I can only say one of the reasons I don't buy into that is because I can remember as a kid when I used to come home and say that I deserved something because some other kid down the street had one. My parents used to say, well, why don't you go and live with them? And, you know, that's what they said. And the fact of the matter is that was absolutely the correct answer. That's not a reason you do something because somebody else has one. Secondly, I want you to know that my support for this, as the mayor, the only person in here, and I don't say that in any way immodestly, but I'm the only one that has a mandate from across the city and elected in every part of the city, is not about anything that has to do with suburbs versus downtown. Not at all. And so I therefore actually reject the notion that there's some cabal of people in here who are trying to deny things to the suburbs or deny things to any other part of town. I don't accept that. I think that what we have to do in here is make the best decisions we can for the entire city. And so I look at this, and I look at this very helpful checklist that is here, and I go through it, and I say, well, the subway is Toronto City approved. It's been approved. I heard today, they were saying, somebody said, it had been the subject of 3 different votes in 2013 alone, let alone other votes. The LRT, not. We've had 3 elections. I've mentioned that a number of times. I don't think that doesn't count for everything, but I don't think you can completely dismiss the fact there have been 3 elections fought, at least in part, on this very choice. The staff recommends the network that we're talking about here today, including the high-speed connection. That's very persuasive to me, that our planning staff recommended as a part of being the catalyst for development. It's supported by the provincial and federal governments, and I respect the fact, I suppose, that I mean, I've speculated on what I think their answer would be if I phoned them tonight and said, guess what, we've changed our mind again to the LRT, which is I think they'd say, you must be kidding. But I don't reject the possibility that you know, they could reallocate their money, but I'll tell you this much. They have shown absolutely no sign, no interest, in fact, quite to the contrary. They've explicitly and implicitly and directly and consistently supported the construction of a subway and fought elections, those who got elected, both Liberal governments, federally and provincially, on building a subway connection to Scarborough. And then we get to the cost, and Councillor Cole spoke very well to that, and I will only say it's one of the reasons I will not support Councillor Matlow's motion, because, to quote Mr. Livy, the math doesn't add up. And Councillor Cole just went through why it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up, and it's why I asked the questions about whether Councillor Matlow's had any discussions with anybody, anywhere, at any of those governments about whether they would just blithely sort of endorse the check over to an LRT project and say, no, go ahead, whatever you like. They haven't said that. In fact, every indication I've had is exactly to the opposite. And the costs are, as Councillor Cole said, very close to one another. The estimated time of completion. We are long past the point in this city, as has been said by a number of people today, where we can afford to have further delay. Further delay. The LRT proposal, in fact, delays us out further all by itself. And I think even some of the discussion in here this afternoon has suggested more studies of various different kinds. And I don't accept, with respect, the comments of Councillor Davis, this is just one more sort of day that we're going to pass by here talking about transit, and none of this really means anything. I think these votes that are being taken today are very significant, and quite frankly, my friends, they should be very significant decisions, because if we're not prepared to say today that this really does mark a time when we're going to go forward and stop with what we've been doing in terms of divisive, continuous, endless debate and move forward on some things that are endorsed, if they are, by the Council in a few minutes' time, then we're in real trouble here. And more importantly, the city's in real trouble. And so I take the long view on this. I mean, I do believe, and may I ask for a couple of extra minutes, Madam Speaker, to extend as the...
Okay,
Mayor's key item.
2 minutes. On favor?
I promise I'll finish.
Carried. Thank you.
I really believe that a big part of the job that I was elected to do, especially in the aftermath of some other things that had gone on, is to bring the city together. I really believe that's fundamentally important. I committed myself to do what we needed to do on a number of fronts, to actually make sure that the best poverty reduction program, the best thing we could do in terms of building up this city and making it strong and fair, namely to make sure we attract jobs and investment to every single part of the city, was something that we did. And that means every single part of this city. And I will only, in the interest of time, associate myself with the comments of Councillor Thompson in saying that has not happened in Scarborough. And it's not just a matter of saying they deserve it. I previously said I don't make decisions on the basis of who deserves what. It's on the basis of how we can best balance growth across the city in a number of respects, create employment. We talk all the time about what a great thing it is that 40%, I think, or some such number of people downtown can walk to work. Why don't we want to have a number that even begins to get close to that in Scarborough, where people can walk or take a short ride to get to work, in the interest of the environment, in the interest of fairness, in the interest of greater access to opportunity on the part of those people? And so I am here, meaning I'm here, I ran for this job so that we could try our best to do everything we could to create that equality of opportunity and lift up some of those many neighbourhoods in Scarborough that need to be lifted up, and transit is an important part of that. And so I say that it is time for us right now to say yes to opportunity across this city. It is time to move forward. It is time to build. It is time to make up for the lost decades where we, as we had pointed out in here today, there's people referring to 1986 debates and 2005 reports and so on, and in the meantime, guess what's been done? Some things have got underway, but a lot hasn't been done. Not nearly enough did get done. And I think it is time to decide in favor of a plan, because I have worked with all these other people, including all of you, on bringing forward a plan, an integrated system that is going to produce opportunity for people across the city, that is going to produce better transit across the city, but most importantly, it's going to allow us to get on with it and to say we've had enough debate, it's time to get on and do what the people want, build transit so that we can build a stronger, fairer, more prosperous city. And so that is why I urge you to support this motion today, this recommendation today that we've put forward from the Executive Committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
There have been a couple of core arguments that you've made in favor of the one-stop subway, and I just wanted to clarify how you substantiate those claims. One is you've suggested that only the one-stop subway would spur economic development at the town centre. Given the fact that even the chief planner, when she was provided an opportunity to compare the 7-stop LRT plan with the 3-stop subway plan, or perhaps now the 1-stop, she even said that the LRT plan would be preferable. So can you point to a report or a study or anything that can substantiate your claim that only the subway can spur on the economic development rather than the LRT?
I believe, Madam Speaker, through you, I believe this very report says in it, and I've certainly looked back at some of the other reports in preparation for this meeting and for the Executive Committee meeting, says that the express subway connection, the express high-speed transit subway connection, is going to be the best thing to help us develop overall the Scarborough Civic Centre. And I think it's right in the material here. I can't refer you to the page, but I know I read it, and I know it's in there, and I know we've discussed it before.
But you do realize that the chief planner wasn't given an option to report on a preference on an LRT. It was specific on a subway just in this context. The other claim that you've made in your op-ed in the Toronto Star, you actually wrote, and I won't paraphrase you, I'll read it. They, I don't know who they was, but you can clarify that, found most people taking transit downtown from Scarborough are students who want to connect directly into the core. However, staff say that 48% of transit trips taken by Scarborough residents are within Scarborough, and there are 2 major educational institutions in Scarborough. So how do you substantiate that claim?
I will answer you by simply saying that for all of the different reasons, and of course you're picking reasons that suit you for purposes.
No, these are things you've said.
Sorry, you go ahead and finish.
No, I'm not picking I'm referring to claims that you've made, and I'm asking you to back them up. I'm asking you to substantiate those claims.
Okay, and now, may I answer now?
Please.
Okay. So, what we've put forward here is a plan. And the plan is a plan, and it hangs together. And it's part of it, Councillor Kelly referred to it as an integrated system. And it includes Smart Track, it includes the Scarborough Subway extension of the Bloor-Danforth subway line, and it includes an LRT. And all of those things will be useful to all kinds of different people. They will all be helpful to attracting business and investment to Scarborough. They will all be helpful to helping people get to and from school, whether they're going to school downtown or going to school at the U of T Scarborough campus. They will all be helpful to connecting up those neighborhood improvement areas to the rest of the city and giving those people better access to opportunity. And so I am standing here in front of you, and as I say, you can pick the one thing and sort of pick a sentence here and pick a sentence there. I'm saying to you it's a plan. I think it's a plan that's going to address all of the considerations our chief planner, our transportation planner, and others have put forward as to how we can best serve the people of Scarborough with good transportation and increase their access to opportunity and attract additional jobs and investment to Scarborough.
With all due respect, Mr. Mayor, the title of your op-ed was
Okay.
why
Okay,
support
hold on, before everybody starts yelling. When you ask questions to the mayor, it's 5 minutes, not 3 minutes.
The
you.
title of your op-ed was specifically why I support the Scarborough Subway. You weren't referring to a network approach in that context. You were referring to making arguments in support of the one-stop plan, and you claimed what I just read to you from your own words. And I've just simply asked you to substantiate that claim.
Right, is that okay now?
Please.
So, I would say to you that I think if you look at the content of the article, that it dealt with the proposal we put forward here today, because that's what was under discussion at the Executive Committee and here, which is not one particular part. In fact, I would say that's part of the shortcoming of this debate, is that some people have chosen to focus on one part of this exclusively. And frankly, one of the only disappointments I have in the debate is that many of the people, not all, I will give some credit, not all, but many of the people, but I will include you in this group, have failed to accord an ounce of legitimacy to the notion of using all modes of transit, including a subway. Not an ounce. And you had different reasons over time. First it was, that you just liked the LRT, and then it became ridership, and that became a bit tough because the ridership numbers actually showed it was going to be one of the busiest stops on the subway. And then it became cost, but that became a bit tough because the costs actually grew almost together. So it's gone from kind of one reason to the next, but no matter what the answer is on the facts, you don't support a subway, and that's fine. I'm just saying I do. And I believe it's part of a plan, and this plan is going to be voted on in about 5 minutes, and then we'll see, and we'll go forward from there. And I hope you will then cooperate with everybody here to actually get on with building the transit and not carry on forever and ever and ever, because I think the people are tired of it.
Thank you. That was the last question. Okay. Councillor McConnell?
Yes, Madam Speaker. There are many parts of this. There's quite a, as the mayor is, no, not to you, Mr. Mayor, to the Speaker. As the Mayor has said, and as we've all said, there are many parts to this. Can we do it ad seriatim? There's lots of things that people agree or disagree on, and I think that would be very helpful.
Well,
So I'm asking for that, Madam Speaker.
okay, just a sec.